morning, dear children. Today let us do the remaining problems of the chapter comparing quantities, and the topic is compound interest. So you can note down the question. Febina borrows 12,500 rupees at 12% per annum for 3 years at simple interest, and Radha borrows the same amount for the same time period at 10% per annum compounded annually. Who pays more interest and by how much? So here two persons, Febina and Radha, borrows 12,500 rupees. So let us consider this as two different cases. The principal amount is 12,500 at the rate of Febina borrows 12,500 at the rate of 12% per annum compounded 12% per annum for 3 years. The time period is given as 3. At simple interest, $12,500, rate is 12%, time period is given as 3 years, and it is not using compound interest, at simple interest. Okay, so we have to calculate the simple interest for 3 years to a principal of 12,500 rupees at a rate of 12% per annum. You know the formula for simple interest. What is the formula for finding simple interest? What is the formula for finding simple interest? Give your answer. Formula for finding simple interest. PTR by 100. Okay. So it is PTR by 100. You can find the answer using this. This is equal to 12,500 into time period is 3, rate is 12 by 100. Simplify this and find your answer. Simplify this one. You can cancel these two zeros here. 12 threes are 36. 125 into 36. Multiply it and find the value of the simple interest. See, while calculating this one, you can cancel these two zeros. 12 into 3 gives 36. 125 into 36. Multiply it and give your answer. Then you are getting simple interest here. You have to calculate the amount also. Amount is equal to principal plus interest. Principal amount is 12,500. So here in the question, who pays more interest and by how much? You have to calculate the interest. Simple interest is 4,500. So if you want to find the amount, you can find it using this formula. Amount is equal to principal plus interest. That is 12,500 plus 4,500. Okay, now we have to calculate the interest amount to be paid while it is calculated using compound interest. So here the principal amount is the same, 12,500. For the same amount, Radha borrows the same amount for the same time period, that is T is 3 years for the same time period, and at 10% per annum compounded annually. So the interest rate is different. It is 10% per annum compounded annually. So we have to calculate. Here the formula gives us the amount, not the interest. In this one we are getting the simple interest from the formula. But in this case we are getting the amount. So amount is equal to p into 1 plus r by 100 the whole raised to n. Here n is the time period. This can be written as n. Now you have to substitute the values. 12,500 into 1 plus 10 by 100 the whole raised to 3. Time period is 3 years. Okay, this is equal to, we have to calculate this now, 12,500 into, cancelling these two, you will get this as 1 by 10. Then taking LCM, 10 plus 1. These two will get cancelled. Then 10 plus 1, 11 by 10 cube. That is 11 by 10 into 11 by 10 into 11 by 10. Now we can cancel 2 zeros from here. These 2 zeros. Let this 10 be here because division by 10 is easy for us. Now you know 11 cube. What is 11 cube? In cubes and cube roots we are learning about this cube, 11 cube. Do anyone remember this 11 cube? It is 1331 then multiplied by 125. 125. Multiply it and give your answer. 1331 is the cube of 11 multiplied by 125. We are learning that chapter for making our calculations easy. Okay. So here 11 cube is 1331 that multiplied by 125. Multiply it now. This divided by 10. This 110 is left here and divided by 10. So this is equal to you are getting the answer as 166,37375 divided by 10. Since we have to divide this by 10, we have to place a decimal point here. So the total amount is 16,637.5. Here in this case you are getting the amount, but in the question we have to find the interest. So how can you find the interest? Compound interest is equal to how to find the interest? Compound interest is equal to amount minus principal. Okay, amount minus principal, this is equal to 16,637.5 minus 12,500. It gives 4,137.5. So Febina has to pay rupees 4,500 as interest, whereas Radha has to pay an amount of 4,137.5 as interest. So who pays more interest? Who pays more interest? See, the interest paid by the interest Febina has to pay is rupees 4,500, and the interest Radha has to pay is 4,137.5. Who pays more interest? Febina has to pay more interest by how much rupees? How much extra amount she has to pay? You have to find out the difference between these two. 4,500, 4,137.5. Find out the difference and then you have to conclude your answer. Isn't it? 362.5. So you have to conclude your answer. Febina has to pay 362.5 rupees more than Radha. Write the conclusion also. Okay. Febina has to pay 362.5 rupees more than Radha. Is it clear? Is it clear? Okay, let us move to the next question now. Note down the question. I borrowed rupees 12,000 from Jamshed at 6% per annum simple interest for 2 years. Had I borrowed this sum at 6% per annum compound interest, what extra amount would I have to pay? What extra amount would I have to pay? So again the two cases here. The first one is if I borrow 12,000 rupees from Jamshed at 6% per annum simple interest for 2 years. So you have to calculate the simple interest. Simple interest for 2 years. Okay. So first one, let us write the principal amount is rupees 12,000. Then time period is given as 2 years. Time period is given as 2 years. And the rate of interest is given as 6%. Now you have to calculate the simple interest. It is PTR by 100. Calculate this one. 12,000 into time is given as 2, rate is given as 6. 2 zeros get cancelled. Then 6 2s are 12. 12 into 12 or 12 square. What is 12 square? See, for calculation it is easy here. 2 into 6, 12. 12 into 12, 12 square. If you memorize the squares up to 25, 12 square. It is 144. So 144 and 1 0 is left here. So we have to put it. The simple interest is 1440 and the amount is equal to P plus I, which gives 12,000 plus 1440. 12,000 plus 1440, which gives 13,440 rupees. Okay, this is while the interest is calculated using simple interest. When simple interest is calculated, the amount to be paid is 13,440. Now the second case is, let this be the first case. Now the second case is, had I borrowed this sum at 6% per annum compound interest for 2 years. Time period is not mentioned here, so we have to consider the same. Okay, so P is equal to 12,000. Then N is, number of years is 2. Rate of interest is 6%. And this is calculated compounded annually or per annum compound interest. It is given here. Then the formula is amount is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 the whole raised to N. Okay, this equals 12,000 into 1 plus R by 100. It is 6 by 100 the whole square. So you can write this as 12,100 plus 6, 106 by 100 whole square. So you have to write it once again. Now we can cancel two zeros from this and 1 0 from here. Now 106 into 106 into 12. Find out the answer. Hundred and six into 106 into 12. Is there a zero? Asya, check your answer once again. Okay, so your answer is 13,483. When you multiply this, you will get it as 134832. Divided by 110 is here, so we have to place a decimal point. So it is 13,483.2 rupees. So which amount is greater? In the first case or in the second case? Which amount is greater while using simple interest or using compound interest? How much extra amount to be paid? Extra amount to be paid is 13,483.2 minus first case is 13,440. which is equal to 43.2 rupees. Is it clear? Any doubt? Okay, let us move on to the next one. Before writing this question, listen here. Vasudevan invested rupees 60,000 at an interest rate of 12% per annum compounded half yearly. So here we have to calculate when the interest is calculated half yearly. In the first class, I told you we had to learn two different cases here. The first one is when compounded annually, and the second case is when compounded half yearly. Listen, compounded half yearly means there is no change in the formula. You have to apply the same. Amount is equal to principal into 1 plus r by 100 the whole raised to n. No need to learn a different formula here, but the change is while calculating half yearly we have to change this rate of interest. The rate of interest is to be taken as r by 2. Okay, if 6% per annum compound interest is there, and while calculating half yearly we have to take it as 6 by 2, that is 3. Okay, always you have to remember this one. The rate of interest to be taken r by 2, and the time period is to be doubled. That means in a year how many half years are there? In a year how many half years? How many half years in a year? Or simply we can say that we have to calculate it after half year, after 6 months. So how many times we have to calculate the interest in a year? ഓരോ ഹാഫ് ഇയർ കഴിയുമ്പോഴും ഇൻട്രസ്റ്റ് കാൽക്കുലേറ്റ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടി വരും. So how many times we have to calculate the interest in a year? Give your answer. Two times. So therefore we are considering this n as 2n. You have to double this. Okay, 1 year ആണെങ്കിൽ you have to consider this as 2. If it is 2 years, you have to consider this as 4. 2 into 2, 4. Is it clear? Okay, that is the only difference. Remember this one, no need to learn a separate formula for this. The same formula you can use here. A is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 the whole raised to n. But remember, while writing the rate of interest, you have to write the half of it, and while writing the number of years, you have to double it. Okay, remember this one while calculating it. See, in this one, Vasudevan invested rupees 60,000 at an interest rate of 12% per annum compounded half yearly. So, the principal is given as 60,000 rupees. Okay, then rate of interest is given as 12%. This is what given in the question. Okay, now let us consider the first one. This is 12% per annum. You can write this one, this means per annum. First case is after 6 months. Let us write it once again. Principal is given as 60,000. Then rate of interest to be taken as half of this, because compounded half yearly. It is given here. So the rate of interest is to be taken as 6%. And n is to be taken as 1. Because 6 months means 1 half year. Six months is the same as 1 half year. So we are considering this 1 in this. Now you have to write the formula. A is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 the whole raised to n. Now substitute the values. 60,000 into 1 plus R is 6 by 100 the whole raised to 1. Find out the answer. Take the LCM here. 100 plus 6. 106 by 100. 60,000 into 106 by 100. Can cancel these two zeros. Then 106 multiplied by 6. It is 63,600 rupees. ₹63,600. So this is the first case. Similarly, you have to find the second case, which is after 1 year. So here the amount to be paid after 6 months is rupees 63,600. Now after 1 year, what change you have to make in this? In this data, what change you have to make? What is to be changed here in this? For calculating the second case, amount in the second case, what change to be made? So you have to come on, give your answer. What change to be made while calculating the amount after 1 year? Okay, n is to be taken as 2. That's the only change. So we can calculate the second case. The second case is principal remains the same, 60,000 rupees. Rate of interest is also the same, that is 6%. And number of half years to be changed as 2. Because in 1 year, 2 half years are there. So n is to be taken as 2. Now we can calculate the amount. Amount is equal to p into 1 plus r by 100, the wholes raised to n. Substitute the values. 60,000 into 1 plus 6 by 100, the whole square. This calculation you had already done in the last one. 60,000 into 106 into 106 by 100. Here also by 100. 100 plus 6. 106 by 100. Twice. These two zeros get cancelled here. These two here. So 106 into 106 into 6. It is 67,416. So always remember this one. While calculating half yearly interest, we have to consider the number of half years. N is to be taken as the number of half years. Okay, one more question. Write down the question now. Arif took a loan of rupees 80,000 from a bank. If the rate of interest is 10% per annum, find the difference in amounts he would be paying after 1.5 years if the interest is compounded annually, and the second case is compounded half yearly. Arif took a loan of rupees 80,000 from a bank. If the rate of interest is 10% per annum, find the difference in amounts he would be paying after 1.5 years if the interest is compounded annually. So here the principal amount is 80,000 rupees. Rate of interest is to be taken as 10%. Let us consider the first case, compounded annually. Rate of interest is 10% and time is 1.5 years. In the previous class, we had done a question like this. If the time period is 1.5 years, first we have to calculate the amount for 1 year. Then for the next half year, we have to calculate the simple interest. Okay, so in that procedure, let us find the amount. First we have to take A is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 the whole raised to N, where P is rupees 80,000, 1 plus R is 10% because compounded annually, and number of years to be taken as 1. We cannot take the power as 1.5. So first we have to consider the whole number part here, 1. Now this is 80,000 into, cancelling this 1 0 here, 10 plus 1, 11 by 10. Whole raised to 1. So only one time you have to write this. 1 0 get cancelled and the answer is 11 into 8, 88 and 3 zeros, 88,000. Okay, it is 88,000 is the amount after 1 year. Now this amount is to be considered as the principal for the next half year. P is to be taken as 88,000. Rate of interest is 10% and T is to be taken as half year. Now we are calculating the simple interest. This equals PTR by 100. In this 88,000 into time is half year and the rate is 10 by 100. So this will be cancelled. This 10 get cancelled here. 2 and 8,800 will become 4,400. This is the simple interest. This amount is after 1 year and this is the interest to be paid after the next half year. So the total amount to be paid is total amount after 1.5 years is equal to 88,000 plus 4,400. Okay, it is 92,400. See, once again, since we are calculating the amount annually, that is using compound interest compounded annually. Compounded annually means 1.5 years. We cannot consider this power as 1.5. So what we are doing is, for the first year, we have to calculate the amount. So after 1 year, we have to pay an amount of 88,000. This will be considered as the principal for the second year. So principal P is equal to 88,000. The rate of interest is 10%. And time period is half year, because here it is 1.5 years. So for 1 year we had already calculated here. The next half year is in this. For this half year we have to calculate the simple interest. And the amount after 1.5 years is 88,000 amount after 1 year plus the interest paid after this equals 92,400. Is it clear? Okay, let us do the second part, compounded half yearly. Again the principal is to be taken as 80,000. Rate of interest is to be taken as, here the rate of interest is 10% per annum. So while calculating half yearly we have to take it as 5%. Half of 10. 5%. Then number of years. In 1.5 years, how many half years are there? Or how many times we have to calculate the interest if it is calculated half yearly? 1.5 years. 1.5 years. Not in 1 year, 1.5 years. We have to calculate it 3 times. So n is to be taken as 3. N is to be taken as 3. Now amount is equal to P into 1 plus R by 100 the whole raised to N. Substitute the values. 80,000 into 1 plus 5 by 100 the whole cube. 80,000 into 100 plus 5. 100 plus 5, 105 by 100 into 105 by 100 into 105 by 100. So 2 zeros here. These 2 zeros get cancelled. Then to find out this multiplication, 105 into 105, since the units place digit is 5, we can calculate this easily. 5 5s, first you have to multiply the units place. 5 5s 25 right here. Then the number here is 10. Okay, 10, and the next number to 10 is 11. Multiply these two. 11 into 10 is 110. So the answer is 105 into 105. If the units place digit is 5, we can calculate it using like this method. 5 5s are 25. Then number left here is 10. 10 multiplied with its next number. Then multiply this with 84. $92,610. Okay, 92,610 rupees. Okay, with this chapter is over. Let us move on to the next chapter in the next class. Okay, thank you.